And as we watch Swiss rider Philippe Perekis warming up with an extremely interesting bike on one of the rollers, Andre, let's turn to you for a description of some of the other favorites outside of Dave Cullinan and Missy Giove.
You got people like Cindy Devine there, you see. She's been 3 times at each World Championship on the podium.
Cindy Devine walking away from the World Championships with top honors in 1990. And this man here, Andrew Chandro, will have to look out for him. He's a Canadian rider, and he's the defending champion at Mont-Saint-Anne, and certainly one of his big rivals, the man we just saw, Dave Cullinan. And as the riders continue to prepare for the downhill, it's an extremely strenuous race. You see the riders getting taped up, getting ready mentally as well as physically. And Gerhard Zdrobilek here, basically a cross-country specialist, looking to do well, and the riders just trying to relax, trying to focus on the downhill course that this organization is going to present to them. Elodie Brown here, another excellent Canadian, Andre.
Elodie Brown, who finished 4th at the World Championship in '91.
Great performance by the Canadian veteran Elodie Brown. And as we see the riders getting warmed up, they're starting to think about the course that's being presented to them. And Andre, tell us about this course.
This course will start at a main chalet at the top of the mountain. It's a pretty good course, a lot of technical section, a lot of pedaling section too.
5.3 kilometers that these riders will have to attack, and first out of the blocks is Kim Saunier of the U.S.
Yeah, Kim Saunier will go for the first pedaling section, and then they go on into a pitch. From this pitch, they'll be turning on the left side, going across into a big pedaling section.
The riders were mentioning that there are a lot of very wide, open, flat sections like this one here, and that really it's a peddler's course. It's the kind of course where the rider who's in the best shape is going to win.
You see those riders, they got to absorb all those bumps on the course, and for that, you got to be in shape.
Oh, and Kim Saunier just managing to hang on through one of those technical sections, and she's back in the open territory, and she's pedaling very hard, close to the finish now, and Kim Saunier coming through the finish with an excellent time of 7 minutes, 23 seconds, .74. So Kim Saunier, a time that places her in the top 10 so far. Next on the course, Elodie Brown, the Canadian, starting off very well. Let's see if she can hold it through.
Elodie Brown is usually better in shorter course. She's really a good bike handler, but the shorter course usually advantage her.
Elodie Brown showing some good technique, and we see that Elodie Brown's bike has got full suspension, what the riders call full suspension, on the back and the front wheel.
Here, coming in this technical section, that's one of the parts where a lot of racers gonna have difficulties. It's pretty steep, and they got to make turns, like 3 turns in a row.
Back into the open sections for Elodie Brown, and this is where she might be suffering compared to the other riders. And as she comes through to the finish, Elodie Brown working very hard through the finish. And let's check her time. She comes through with a time of 7:31.94, placing her behind Kim Saunier. So Elodie Brown in the top 10 right now, but we'll have to wait and see what happens later on. And this young lady here, another Canadian, Tanya Chiplik.
Chiplik, we didn't know much about Chiplik, but she looks like she's going to be doing good here. After training run, she was pretty confident on what was happening in this course.
Tanya Chiplik handling that mogul section very well. Now she's on to the technical section, and she's showing some very good, very smooth style. A little bit of trouble there in the outside curve, but she's handling this very well.
She was kind of too low on her gauge. She should have been closer from the gate, taking the gauge much higher.
Nice tuck position for Tanya Chiplik, who works right through to the finish. Tanya Chiplik, the Canadian, coming through now with a time of 7 minutes, 30 seconds, .62, just ahead of Elodie Brown. The 1993 Grundig Downhill World Cup. Brought to you by Canadian Club. And also by Gestev, the organizers of the Grundig World Cup. And welcome back to the 1993 Grundig Downhill event, brought to you by Canadian Club. My name is Patrick Vanderwell, and with me is André Dallaire, and the next lady out of the blocks is Lee Donovan from the U.S.
Lee Donovan with a good start, going to the first pitch.
Great start by Lee Donovan, a U.S. rider, and she's coming through one of the technical sections right now, and you can see that she's in full control. She's riding a bike with double suspension, and as we mentioned, over those little kind of washboard sections is what they call them, when there's small bumps, that suspension really does help, doesn't it, Andre?
Yes, definitely. We'll see on her technical part. That's the important part. She was round there. She was too far away from the gate.
Not a very good job on the technical section by Lee Donovan. Now she's back into the open flat, and let's see if she can make up the time.
Doing a good job in the pedaling section right now.
Lee Donovan has done an excellent job on the pedaling sections, and she brings it through to the finish right here with a time of 7:11.88, a fantastic time for Lee Donovan, and she's in provisional first spot. Right now, Giovanna Bonazzi from Italy, former world downhill champion, and Andre, she's going to try to make that count right here.
Giovanna Bonazzi dominated the Super Cup last year. That's the downhill event. And right now she's going on this race really confident. She's on full gear. You could see her. She's all padded up because of any accident could happen, and all those Italian riders are wearing all that full suit, specially made and designed for downhill.
It's interesting to note that some riders choose to wear what they call a full suit of armor, lots of padding on the shoulders, on the back, on the elbows, and some riders choose not to wear any padding at all.
You see Giovanna right now, she had a bit of a mistake in the technical section, but she's going back in the pedaling section doing right.
Working very hard through the pedaling sections, and Giovanna Bonazzi is coming through to the finish right now, working over those last few bumps. Giovanna Bonazzi, you can see the determination as she pedals through to the finish, and she comes through with a time of 7:11.31, putting her just ahead of Lee Donovan, and now she's in first spot. Cindy Devine, the Canadian, coming through. She was world downhill champion in 1990. She's had bronze medals ever since then. And Cindy Devine on Canadian turf will be trying to do her best.
Cindy Devine all ready for a good run here. She's a specialist. She is concentrating on downhill only.
Cindy Devine also a top-ranked skier, and she's doing very, very well on this course. You can see her wearing full armor, and that might be a hindrance on some of the pedaling sections, but in the technical sections right here, it could be a big help for her.
She looks like she's doing a good line. One of the best line we saw so far in the technical section right now. Close from the gate, going for it, and she will enter that pedaling section, really important section.
You can see that Cindy Devine is just not as comfortable in the flat sections as some of the other riders, but she's taking it through to the finish right now, working very, very hard. Cindy Devine, the Canadian, trying to do well, and she comes through with a time of 7:10.80, a fantastic time, and she's in provisional first spot. Penny Davidson now from the U.S.
Penny Davidson had really good training runs this weekend, and she could be one of the ones to check on.
Of course, the downhill event is just like downhill skiing. The riders show up early, they check out the course, they go for a few training runs, and all that is monitored, and Penny Davidson doing very, very well this week in the training runs, and she's doing very, very well here, Andre.
Yes, going in the traverse there, and let's see in her technical section, that's one of the important sections. She's a bit far away from the gates, you know, taking them round her, but sometimes it pays off.
Penny Davidson playing it very safe through the technical section. Let's see how well she does on the pedaling section. She's in a very big gear, but she's out of the saddle. She's pushing it through to the finish. Penny Davidson coming through now. She looks to be on track for a good time, and Penny Davidson comes through with a time of 7:09.68, and she's in the lead right now. This young lady right here, Regina Stiefel.
Regina Stiefel was last year 8th on the World Cup downhill, or at the World Championship in downhill.
Not a fantastic performance for Regina Stiefel last year at the World Championships in Bromo, but right now she seems to be on track for a great ride. She's got those bar ends to protect her hands, and she's going through the technical sections right now looking very comfortable.
Regina Stiefel doing really good usually in the technical section. She's a really good downhill specialist. Right now she seems to have a little bit of problem. Take it too round her gate.
A little bit of control problems near the top of that technical section, but she recovered very well, and now she's on the flatter portions coming through to the finish. Regina Stiefel trying to get a very good time here, and she looks on track to challenge the top. Regina Stiefel coming through with a time of 7:07.55, and that puts her in top spot over 2 seconds ahead of Penny Davidson in third. And now, Andre, the one we've all been waiting for, Missy Giovi.
Missy Giovi, she's crazy. I'm sorry, but that's the way she is. And this girl will go fast. She's not afraid of anything.
She may lack the technique of some of the other riders, but she makes up for it in courage, determination, and her will to take risks. Look at her on the technical section, Andre.
She's iron her gate. She's kind of sitting back on her bike to get the more traction as possible.
Missy Giove coming back from a 3-week suspension for hitting a commissaire, and she's pedaling very hard through this last section. Missy Giove trying to work it through to the finish. Missy Giove very determined. Look at the sprint, and she comes through with a fantastic time of 7:03.55, and that puts her in the gold medal 4 seconds ahead of Regina Stiefel in second spot. And so Missy Giove from the U.S. wins the Grundig Canadian Club World Cup Downhill, just ahead of Regina Stiefel and Penny Davidson. And in the World Cup overall standings, Regina Stiefel hangs on to her lead, followed closely by Giovanna Bonazzi. And look at that, Cindy Devine, the Canadian, in 3rd spot overall. Some other Canadians doing very well. Tanya Chiplick in 20th, Elodie Brown 22nd, and Catherine Heckveit 32nd. Let's go to Missy Giove.
I just remembered that I love racing, and that's what makes me happy. So that's just went out and did a race.
That was cool.
It was rad. It was rad at the time.